Hey guys, Rochelle here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I'm going to be doing a unfair comparison side by side of the Marchetti Tarot by Ciro Marchetti and written by Lee Burston. And this is a US Games release, brand new release. And this is a fairly new release of Mystic Palette Tarot, also by Ciro Marchetti, and the book is also written by Lee Burston, and this is released by Llewellyn. So I wanted to do an unfair comparison between the Marchetti Tarot and the Mystic Palette Tarot. And I don't have the sepia version of this, although I thought about getting it. I'm not sure, but the reason I would compare it with the color is because they're both in full color. So let's just begin. First of all, let's take a look at the differences in the boxes. The US Games version is a much smaller box. It's, I would say, much better for people that have large collections. It's more compact. They've used less materials in creating it. I do love these boxes though, let me just say, but I think these are really good also. This is a matte box. This is a glossy. This has like a, cutout on the side so that you can open them that way. And this is a magnetic, right? These, because I have a bunch of Llewellyn. Well, I mean, I would say 15, 20 that are in boxes like this, and they just work really good on the bookshelves. They're perfect for the bookshelves. So, let's show you the difference in the books. Here's the cards. I have put them both back in order so that you can see them. As I said, this is a magnetic. Here's the book, which is also gloss, and the cards. We can see already these are much larger than these. We can see the difference in size of the books as well, right? So I wonder, the font is littler. There's still a decent amount of information. Okay, the font is little on that too, but it looks like there's quite a bit of information. And it looks like we don't have full color, but sometimes we do. We have some full color pages, which are beautiful. Okay. They're sporadic. But it's a thin book. Just like this is a thin book. This is matte also, and this one's glossy. Okay. This is more matte, so I would say a semi-gloss, because it's not like a matte either. There's still, you can still see reflection off of it. And this is glossy. So we're going to come down lower. And I think they're about the same thickness also. Yeah, this might be slightly thicker, the US Games version. All right, let's begin. So we've got our Fool. One thing I was noticing as I was putting these back in order is these have no dark black around the edges. So not only is it much larger in size, because maybe it'll be easier to see. It's significantly wider and taller than this is like your basic standard size tarot. You can see that there's black around the edges, and they've also put something, I can't tell what that is, but something on both ends. So it is reversible. That back is reversible also. So I will say, see, I look at this space that's on the card as prime real estate. Okay, so I love my art, most generally, to go from edge to edge. And it does on the Llewellyn one. It does not on the US Games. Now, however, sometimes when we are dealing with such a powerful, colorful deck, like Marchetti decks are, it doesn't hurt to have a nice black border. It's nothing obtrusive. The art kind of like blends in. You can see it's not like a straight line. So it like, I don't know. It's not like your basic edge. It's not like your basic border. And I like that it has the black on the edge back here, or on the front and on the back. So for those that like to edge their decks, or want to edge their decks, however, they're afraid that they're going to mess it up, this is the kind of deck that you try on, and you just get a black marker. It leaves little room for error, honestly. And I do love the black. So it's all in how you look at it. And this one is larger, and I'm not usually a larger deck kind of person. Anyways, I'm just going to do a walkthrough, add a little bit of music if I can find some decent music, and let you see the difference of the US Games and the Llewellyn new Marchetti decks, okay? Newer Marchetti decks. So here we go. So, what did you guys think? You know, I honestly thought it was going to be easier to decide which one I liked better, but I love them both. I thought it was going to be a cut and dry that I like this one better, right? The US Games because of the size. But I actually like the cardstock better on the Llewellyn. And I do like the size better on this. But the more that I've been doing the side shuffle, I don't feel as restricted with the size. And as I get older, having a larger, like I said in the beginning, you know, prime real estate for the art is actually very beneficial because I'm not seeing as good. Now, I will say that I think that I do like this one, how it's got signs and stuff like that, but this one has it scattered in there also. I do like how this one is clear cut with what the cards are on them. I don't want to have to, especially if I'm looking for my glasses, figure out, you know, I mean, which you can figure out which ones they are by the symbolism and the numbers. But they use Roman numerals also in the minor arcana, and normally you don't see that. So, but it's not clear cut as to, I'll show you what I mean. See, it doesn't say wands, although it's got the elemental symbols. So I would say these have a clear cut what they say that they are. So I think that this one is more beginner friendly than this one. However, oh my gosh, man, the art is just phenomenal. It's beautiful in both of them. But the things that I like in one that I thought were going to be clear cut, you know, that I don't like in the other, I just don't like in the other. I know, it's weird. It's like I just can't even make up my mind, and that's the case because both of these decks feel different. So let's look at the shuffling. Oops. All right, so this is your basic tarot size, your classic tarot size. These are a bit stiffer, okay? So they really got to be worked, which they can be, but I mean, with my size, the decks barely get worked like that because I switch my decks off all the time, unless it's like one of them that I'm always using or want to turn to. So this cardstock, I don't like as much. This is like your basic, it's thinner, more, it's got more give. It's like your regular, Llewellyn decks, okay? It's not linen. It's high gloss or glossy. It doesn't stick together. However, because it is so big this way, you can see I can't get that much in it that way, so I have to switch it around this way. And there's no way for me to riffle shuffle this and bridge it, just simply because it's just too big for me to do that. However, I was saying that also, a beautiful shuffle can be had like a waterfall. I will say on the backs, I like these backs more than I like these backs. But I do like that it's all black around the edges on this side and this side. So if you want to, you know, put an edging on it, a black, very forgiving, easy to do. This one, I can put an edge on this as well. Okay. But for somebody that also is a beginner at that, this is more friendly for that as well, unless you have really good eyes and a really good marker for it. But it's not as, let's look at and see how they fan. Okay, that's a good fan. It's not a bad cardstock. It's just not my favorite. And let's see if this one fans. Oh, that one fans beautifully too. So do you have a favorite? Leave me a comment down below. And do you have the sepia? Do you have both the color and the sepia of this one? Let me know down below. And if so, which one do you prefer? But out of these two, did you have a clear cut winner? Or was it a little bit difficult for you as well? And do you find that you like the regular size better than the bigger size? Or the bigger size rather than the smaller size, you know, for, you know, your eyes? And do you like that the art is going all the way to the edge on this bigger, you know, prime real estate rather than this one? So lots of questions. Why don't we pick one card and see how each, let me see something. All right. One sec. I really love both of these Hermits. I love this one because it is putting the emphasis on the actual lantern. I love that you can see the Virgo, but you can see the Virgo also. I love that it's an old man's face on here. I love that. It's like you can see the wisdom, not just from his wrinkles, but coming out of his eyes, right? And then there's still an emphasis on the lantern. And you can see the path a little bit. But I love this one also because of the path, showing the actual path. So I wanted to read out of each of the books because it says that both of the books are also written by Lee Burston. So let's see if there's a difference between the Hermit and both of them and see how they read for both of them, okay? See if he puts a spin on each of them differently. So, in contrast to the Marchetti Tarot's emphasis on faces, the Hermit card focuses instead on the Hermit's lamp, indicating that the card is representing a concept, a feeling, or a tone, rather than suggesting a personality trait. The Hermit himself actually does appear as a small figure traveling a floating road. This reminds us of those Japanese paintings in which humans are but a small element in a landscape. The floating road leads directly to the large lamp. We might see the large lamp as an abstractly magnified view of the lamp held by the Hermit, thus showing us that the Hermit provides his own guidance. I use his because the traditional image is of a man. But in this deck, the gender isn't shown, and it could just as easily be her. Like the Greek philosopher Diogenes, he is searching for knowledge and virtue, and the emphasis is on relying on our own efforts to find enlightenment. Or more literally, we might see it as a giant hand emerging from the sky to provide both a light and a destination to the traveler. In this interpretation, the Hermit sets out to search, and a higher power meets him halfway to help him in his search. Here the emphasis is on faith and trust that if we ask the universe will answer. The Hermit as a source of illumination can be contrasted with the High Priestess crown of candles. The priestess's light is an instinctual power that radiates love, care, and an inner subconscious, non-rational knowledge. The Hermit's lamp, on the other hand, lights the way for a conscious, rational search for answers. We can then look to the Hierophant, which also concerns a rational approach to life's mysteries. The Hierophant has a system of rules, dogmas, and structures to serve as a foundation for knowledge. The Hermit's approach, although rational like the Hierophant's, is more solitary and introspective, relying more on experiential knowledge, then the Hierophants accepted wisdom. So in a reading, a search for knowledge, relying on oneself to find the answers rather than relying on input from others. Faith that the divine will provide the answer. Solitude, providing illumination for others through teaching, counseling, or giving advice, for example. Negatively, loneliness, taking oneself too seriously. So that was for the Marchetti Tarot, for this one over here. So let's look for, and this was the U.S. Games one. This is the Llewellyn. Let's look for it over here. All right, so this is what it looks like in this. All right, so the Hermit. Some modern decks show the Hermit as a small figure in a vast landscape with his back to us or with his face otherwise obscured. The Mystic Palette deck takes the opposite approach with an extreme close-up, emphasizing the Hermit's humanity. Paradoxically, he also seems to blend into the forest clearing that he inhabits. If you follow his hair down the sides of the card to the bottom, you'll notice that the hair blends into and becomes tree bark. Or perhaps we're gazing out from inside a tree. The image recalls the legend of Merlin, imprisoned in a tree by his enemy and ex-student Nimue in the enchanted forest Boseliande. I probably did not pronounce that properly. The Hermit can be compared to the High Priestess and the Hierophant. Like the High Priestess, the Hermit is solitary, but while her actions are intuitive, his are more self-aware and analytical. He takes on some of the rational and intellectual characteristics of the Hierophant, but the Hierophant is public-facing and works to improve others, while the Hermit is alone and works on himself. The Hermit enters his inner landscape with a lamp to shine a rational and analytical light upon which is often lacking in rationality. He will emerge wiser, able to frame his perceptions and conclusions in the context of the knowledge he discovers about his own humanity. His friendly gaze suggests that he has taken the opportunity to befriend himself and learned how to love himself. In a reading, he represents a desire to go off alone for a while to recover, reflect, meditate, and to absorb and process what life hands us. So keyword meanings: working on yourself, organizing your thoughts about inner processes, learning to love yourself, solitude, reflection, taking time to process events, counselor, teacher, mentor, guide. Negatively, too much solitude, keeping aloof from others. Astrology, we have Virgo, careful, deliberate, and prudent analysis, and Hebrew letter Yod, which is hand. The Hermit forgoes technology and relies on his own hand, i.e., his own inner resource, to survive in his forest clearing. You know what? That even made it harder for me because both books are different. Even though we're talking about the same character, they've taken different spins on each one of the characters, each one of the Hermits in their respective decks. And we look at it from two different perspectives, even though it does boil down to the same concepts, but with a different perspective, a different flair entirely. So I see use for both of these in my collection, and I'm going to be keeping both of these in my collection because I love Ciro Marchetti, and from what I just read in the books, both of the books, I can tell that I'm going to like Lee Burston's writing as well. So I would love to know what you thought about this. Your comments down below, please. And thank you for spending this time with me, and I am sending you love always.